This week on Rock Feed After Dark, so much to get to, including some surprising comments from Megadeth vocalist Dave Mustaine, who claims that one of Metallica's biggest hit songs was actually stolen from another band. Plus, you have that crazy incident with Seether vocalist Shaun going off on security at a venue after he claims that they removed his daughter from the side of the stage during that show. Plus, you have a lot of conversation taking place surrounding Sleep Token as they're on that rapid rise, including comments from a very popular artist accusing them of doing blackface. You also have Doc Coyle opening up about the hate this band is getting and offering a very unique perspective on that. So much to get to this week on Rock Feed After Dark. So first up, we got to talk about Dave Mustaine's comments about Metallica. It seems like every chance he gets, he's going to bring up Metallica, and at times we've heard him questioning and sort of pondering why Metallica doesn't want to work with him, why we don't get more shows with Megadeth and Metallica, and why the hatchet doesn't seem to be buried. And I think there's a pretty simple explanation for that, which is that you don't really see Metallica members in any interview going around making these kind of statements in their interviews about Dave Mustaine. And I expect that if they were, Dave would be really pissed off at the things they're saying. So in this conversation with Shaun Ryan, it's a really interesting podcast. He says that he believes that Enter Sandman was actually lifted from another band. This is one of Metallica's all-time biggest hits, and he's going off on that. Here's what he had to say in this conversation with Shaun Ryan. Speaking on the Shaun Ryan Show, Mustaine opened up about so much throughout his career that he's been through, including his tenure in Metallica, that shocking dismissal. He felt that he should have been given another chance. We've heard this, including in that documentary, Some Kind of Monster, when he had that face-to-face meeting with Lars Ulrich that was emotional. All of that came back up again. But he brought this up on the Shaun Ryan Show. I thought this was really interesting when he claims that Enter Sandman was actually lifted from another popular thrash band from LA, which released a couple of years earlier. He told him that Enter Sandman bears a shocking resemblance to the song Tapping into the Emotional Void, which is a track by Los Angeles thrash band Excel, and it released just 2 years earlier. He said, hell, their biggest song, Enter Sandman. Go look up the band Excel right now. Look up their song. I think it's something Into the Unknown. Pretty similar. Now, this is not the first time that this has been speculated. In fact, back at the time in 1991, the band's manager actually commented on this situation in an interview with the LA Times. Jane Hoffman, the band's then manager, told them at the time, quote, "A lawsuit unfortunately sucks everything else out of your life," indicating that even they believed that maybe this track was copied from them, but ultimately the band made the decision not to sue them over the matter. They even asked Metallica's co-manager Cliff Bernstein if he was aware of the song at the time. He told them that he was aware of the band, but he had never actually heard that particular track. Really interesting stuff there. You know, it's really hard to tell whether or not Metallica copied another band. Music can be redundant, and there's so many different examples of bands that have been accused of this that have disproven the claims against them. There's always going to be overlap in music, but Metallica, over the course of their career, have denied that they did anything other than write a hit song, for what it's worth. Now, I got to thank my friends at Upheaval Fest for supporting this episode. You've got to see this lineup.
Get ready for Upheaval Fest, July 18th and 19th at Belknap Park in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Now get this, we've got Rob Zombie on Friday night with Architects and the return of Crossfade. And Saturday gets even crazier, fresh off the release of their chart-topping hit, God is a Weapon, one of the fastest rising bands on the planet, Falling in Reverse. Plus, The Plot and You, Wage War, Taproot, Yellow Wolf, and many more. Get tickets now at upheavalfest.com.
A post from singer Kali Uchis went viral for all the wrong reasons after she blocked out Sleep Token's image on her Instagram story, claiming she couldn't share a photo that looked like blackface. It didn't take long for fans to point out that Sleep Token's masks and corpse paint have nothing to do with racial stereotypes and not any kind of offensive imagery at all. The backlash came quick, and Uchis deleted the post, but this incident sparked a wider conversation about where performance art ends and misrepresentation begins. Now, this all got started really over an emoji, to put it simply. As many fans were quick to pick up, she had covered the #1 position on the chart with a heart emoji. Of course, in that number one position was the mighty Sleep Token, who went number one on the charts with their new album, Even in Arcadia, which is just extraordinary to see that from a rock band. Now, what you can see here is Sleep Token in the number one spot on the Billboard Top 100 Artist chart, and the previous week they were at number 46. She covers up Sleep Token. A fan asked her in the comments why she did that, kind of accuses her of being petty, and this is what she said in response. In the since deleted comment, this fan wrote, "Imagine being so petty that you censor the number one band on an IG story. Sleep Token is better." But she commented something in response to that Sleep Token fan that has now gone viral. She said, quote, "To be honest, I didn't feel comfortable posting a photo of someone in blackface. It really wasn't deeper than that, doll." So apparently she believed that Sleep Token was performing in blackface and they went number one on the charts and people weren't outraged by this. It goes deeper. She eventually deleted the comments. It's just hard to believe that she could actually think that this artist was doing blackface, especially when you look at Vessel and you can see two things here. Number one, he's wearing a mask on the overwhelming majority of his face. Number two, just the mouth area shows painting on his face. The Sleep Token fans have really taken this viral online. They were obviously offended by this. Obviously, it is not blackface from Sleep Token. And here is what she said to another commenter in response to this very bizarre statement that she made. They wrote, "Then you double down claiming it was blackface after people told you it wasn't. But hey, let's claim people are racist in order for you to get that number one spot, right?" To which she said, "I actually deleted the comment because you all said it wasn't. I'm just giving my honest reason of why I personally didn't feel comfortable posting the photo to my page." Now, some Sleep Token fans also felt as though she was taking a dig at the band with this screenshot from her Instagram stories, where she showed her undoubtable major success from her album Sincerely, which came in at number 2, which is by any measure a major success for any artist. Apparently with the caption that says, "Cayuchis did that, no payola, no big commercial single, features or gimmicks required." So understandably their Sleep Token fans felt as though she was, again, taking a dig at the band with each one of those comments. This is really blown up on TikTok with a lot of people calling this out. And unfortunately for Sleep Token, this is an anonymous band where they are playing these mythical theatrical characters. Obviously they are not doing blackface, and it is just insane that she said that.
Now, speaking of Sleep Token, God forbids Doc Coyle just published an op-ed in Metal Hammer, and he's not sugarcoating it. He's calling out the so-called metal purists who can't stand Sleep Token's rise, specifically targeting those who say mixing pop, R&B, and metal is ruining the genre. Coyle argues this isn't the first time a band has faced backlash for pushing boundaries, pointing to Linkin Park and Bring Me the Horizon as proof that sometimes innovation is punished before it's celebrated. But now that Sleep Token is topping the charts and headlining major festivals, Coyle wants to know, what exactly are the gatekeepers so afraid of? Now, I thought this was very interesting because Doc Coyle really points out something that I've always felt as well, which is that people really get upset about bands that are doing different things almost to a ridiculous degree. It's one thing to go, hey, I don't want to listen to that, but when you read the comments, you would have thought that this band stole people's lunch money at how upset they get by a band that's just choosing to do their own thing. And if you've seen them live, they put on a really good performance. I understand and totally get it if you don't like their music, but I don't really understand why this band seems to upset people to the degree that they do. But he said in this op-ed in part, "I don't begrudge anyone who dislikes the album or the band. What bothers me is the coalitions of lynch mobs against popular heavy bands as a trend. It's knee-jerk contrarianism to dislike what the masses like. I don't think that's cool." But we've seen this movie before. Limp Bizkit went from the biggest band in the world in 2002 to persona non grata in a couple of years. I saw them get booed opening for Metallica in 2003. Rage Against the Machine bassist Tim Comerford even apologized for Limp Bizkit's existence. Now they are getting their flowers for being cool, innovative, and fun. Many old fans remembered how great they were, and a whole new generation appreciate them without the baggage. It was also trendy to hate Metallica for 10 years. Now people love them again. And I think he couldn't be more right about that. Again, the bandwagon hate, I don't really understand. I do understand the people who are out there going, hey, I don't like this, but a lot of people get really upset about this, including
major pop acts who seemingly are mad about their chart position. But take that for what it's worth. After more than a year in legal limbo, former Red Hot Chili Peppers guitarist Josh Klinghoffer was just sentenced in a case that's left both the music world and a family grieving. Klinghoffer pleaded no contest to misdemeanor vehicular manslaughter after a tragic accident killed a pedestrian in a crosswalk. The judge handed down probation and community service, but the victim's family says their pain is far from over. There's also a civil case ahead that could reopen some tough questions. Former Red Hot Chili Peppers guitarist Josh Klinghoffer just accepted a plea deal for vehicular manslaughter. Back in 2024, Josh Klinghoffer was driving his black 2022 GMC Yukon in California when he struck and killed a 47-year-old man named Israel Sanchez. Sanchez was just crossing the street in a marked crosswalk on his way to the grocery store to buy ingredients to make soup for his family. Just a regular Tuesday, and tragically, his life ended, and his family is alleging it could be connected to distracted driving. Yesterday, May 28th, Klinghoffer appeared in court in California and pleaded no contest to misdemeanor vehicular manslaughter without gross negligence. The judge sentenced him to 1 year of informal probation, 60 days of community labor, a driver's safeties class, and restitution that'll be determined later. The prosecution read a statement in the courtroom after Klinghoffer entered his plea. It read, "If you continue to drive distracted, and as a result of your driving, someone is killed, you can be charged with murder." Klinghoffer said he understood. Tragically, Israel Sanchez's daughter Ashley was in the courtroom when she read her victim impact statement. She talked about how her father was an extraordinary grandfather to her children, and she said his absence has left an irreversible void in their lives. She described him as the heart of her family, spoke of his love for cooking and painting, and she called her father's death an avoidable loss that has shaken my family. The family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Klinghoffer back in July 2024, and according to that lawsuit, Josh Klinghoffer was, quote, likely driving while distracted and was allegedly, quote, using a device mere seconds before he hit Israel Sanchez in the back while making a left turn. The accident happened in a marked crosswalk. Now, in January, a judge denied the family's attempt to seek damages in the civil lawsuit for a second time. The judge ruled that what Klinghoffer did not rise to the level of willful and conscious disregard for the safety of others. The officials confirmed that Sanchez died from blunt force trauma, and after facing those serious charges, Josh Klinghoffer will now only be serving community service as a result of accepting that plea deal. Seether Shaun Morgan stopped a recent show in Tulsa dead in its tracks, literally. When venue security removed his 7-year-old daughter from the side of the stage, Morgan called out the guard on the mic and even rewrote the lyrics to Remedy mid-performance, turning the moment into a public showdown. The crowd was right there with him, and the whole thing was caught on camera. But what led up to this confrontation? And will the band play that venue ever again? The Seether frontman went off on venue security during a show recently at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Tulsa after his 7-year-old daughter was kicked off the side of the stage mid-performance. The incident happened because the casino has a 21 and over policy, but Morgan's daughter wasn't on the casino floor. She was credentialed and watching from the side stage area as a guest of the band. Security still removed her during the set, which understandably set him off. He said, quote, I had my kid on the side of the stage and the whole entire show, and then suddenly this asshole kicks her the off the stage. She's 7 years old, Morgan told the crowd, and now she can't even go in the front of the house and watch the show. Man, you, what the is wrong with you? It's a child, and you just kicked her off the stage her dad's playing. After calling out the security guard's manhood and declaring this place, Morgan and the band launched back into their 2005 hit Remedy, but with some different lyrics.
Hey, sorry that took a little while. I had my kid on the side of the stage the whole entire show, and then suddenly this asshole kicks her the off the stage. She's 7 years old, and now she can't even go in the front of the house and watch the show. Let's you. Dude, what the is wrong with me? She's a child, and you just kicked her off the stage her dad's playing. I hope you're super huge, bro. Oh well, I'll finish the song for you guys. This place.
Taime Downe, frontman for Faster Pussycat, is finally sharing his side of a heartbreaking tragedy. Back in March, Downe's fiancée, Kimberly Birch, went overboard during a Royal Caribbean cruise. Authorities say a mix of alcohol and medication was involved, but Downe says the loss is something he'll never fully process. He's turned to music to cope, but for the first time, he's explaining what really happened that night and how he's finding a way forward. During a May 30th appearance on SiriusXM's Trunk Nation, Downe addressed the circumstances surrounding Birch's death. He said, quote, "It was alcohol and prescription related. That's all I'll say. I'm just taking it a day at a time. It's still really raw." He went on, "There's a lot of things that make up people's lives at a certain time of their life, you know? I blame alcohol and pills on it." Birch, 56, fell from an 8th floor balcony around 11 p.m., roughly 80 miles from Miami. She was there to support Downe and his band Faster Pussycat, who were performing on the cruise. Earlier that day, Birch posted a selfie with Downe, writing, "We made it to the 80s cruise." Passengers reported hearing an argument coming from the cabin before the tragedy. One person wrote on social media that Birch had, quote, "jumped from the balcony of her 8th floor room after an argument with her partner." According to reports, surveillance video from the situation was turned over to investigators and showed the tragedy unfold. The Coast Guard responded with helicopters and personnel, but suspended the search after several hours. Downe was questioned by authorities, but he was cleared after speaking with them. Downe addressed the speculation directly, saying, quote, "I don't want to get into what her psyche was at the time, but there's a lot of things that make up people's lives at a certain time of their life. I blame alcohol and pills on it." He also shared, "There's no way I'd touch booze. For me, that's just completely disgusting in my brain. So I've got some hatred for booze because I love the hell out of Kimberly." Kimberly Birch's mother previously told TMZ that drinking was out of character for her daughter, who had helped Downe with his sobriety in the past. She said she is confident Kimberly would not have purposely hurt herself and remains unsure whether her daughter jumped or accidentally fell. Downe, who described the loss as really raw, made it clear that he's focusing on coping with this grief and prefers to discuss the details with his friends. He says, "It's good to talk about it with my friends, my close-knit friends, but I don't really want to talk about it with strangers because it doesn't seem appropriate." Alex Terrible, frontman of Slaughter to Prevail, isn't staying silent when it comes to critics questioning his band's rise. On Instagram, he addressed head-on the people who say they haven't earned the right to headline their own tour. After years of grinding it out, Alex says there's no shortcut to success, just hard work and a fan base that's grown with every show. And with the new album about to drop, he's making it clear this tour is a statement, and the band isn't about to let anyone rewrite their story. In a statement shared on his social media, he wrote, "I went to Suicide Silence and Dying Fetus pages and read all the hate comments from people. They're mad about our own headline tour. Listen, I grew up with Suicide Silence music and never imagined they will open for my band. To be honest, I still don't know how to react for this. For me personally, I prefer touring without any support bands. Just us. And we did a lot of times already and sell out big venues, which is very, very good. But people always complained it was just us and they want more. Well, our team worked it out and asked sick bands to tour with us, and now people complain the band is touring with us because of us in our own tour. What the F?" And just like Sleep Token, we see people who get upset by bands who are on the rise. It seems like Suicide Silence and Dying Fetus are stoked to be on this tour. You have Chris Garza commenting, writing, "I'm proud of your band, Alex. We know the comments in the real world are two different things." So definitely go check out all of these sick bands on their upcoming tour. Definitely one of the coolest metal tours if you're lucky enough to be able to catch this when it comes over to Europe in the near future.
If you enjoy my work and you'd like to support me directly, consider joining the Feed Fam. It's just $5 and you get a badge next to your name in the comments, early access to interviews, and much more. Sign up is easy directly through YouTube at the link in the description. I really appreciate it, and it makes a big difference.
And next up, we've got a number of big tour announcements that were made this week that have got fans very excited. A Day to Remember just announced a big tour with Yellow Card called the Maximum Fun Tour, featuring support from bands like State Champs, The Wonder Years, Boundaries, and Dinosaur Pileup on select dates. The tour is kicking off in September and is going to run through the fall. Definitely one that you don't want to miss. And speaking of Seether, they just announced a big co-headlining run with Daughtry, some other really cool bands on this one as well. Now, this tour is kicking off in Virginia Beach in October. I'm looking forward to seeing this with support from POD and Taime Kehoe. So this is going to be sick. And with those support acts, you definitely want to show up early so you don't miss all of the amazing artists. And also, this is a really unique opportunity to get to see Breaking Benjamin in a way that you don't always get to see them perform. A band like Breaking Benjamin can really take their songs and craft them into acoustic tracks in a really cool way. We've seen them release that acoustic record where they've collabed with a bunch of artists, including the great Lacey Sturm from Flyleaf, who is going to be joining them on that tour with her husband Josh Sturm as well. So they're going to be up there performing acoustically also. You don't want to miss this. Breaking Benjamin Unplugged, kicking off on July 15th in Richmond, Virginia, and running all the way through the end of July in Columbus, Ohio. Obviously, Breaking Benjamin's playing a lot this year. I just saw them recently crushing it on stage with Mustaine. They have sounded amazing. I've been watching Breaking Benjamin live for years. They're definitely one of my favorite bands. But just seeing them recently, how well they sounded, maybe one of the best Breaking Benjamin shows I've ever seen. And this is a really good band. I do not say that lightly, but definitely go check them out because they're on fire right now. And last but certainly not least, we have the brand new album from Turnstile, highly anticipated, coming out tonight. Never Enough, out everywhere now. A number of collabs on that record. We saw Turnstile with that huge show they just did in Baltimore. Massive crowd there. They definitely have a big movement behind them. So I expect this record to be very successful for them. Again, check out the new record, Never Enough, from Turnstile, out everywhere now. Thank you so much for another episode of Rock Feed After Dark. Was very busy last month, so I had to pause as we traveled and worked on some very special videos. Shout out to the Feed fam, $5 a month directly supporting this channel. You see the badges next to their name in the comments, early access to interviews and all sorts of fun behind the scenes stuff. Really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button with notifications on for the latest news and updates right here at Rock Feed.